I cannot stand Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Oh, okay. No, this one sucks. Yeah.
Where do you have that on your
I have
list?
it at number 10.
Okay.
So
All right.
I have it. It's bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bottom. So now I was worried. There's
Yep.
one that I'm really hoping you don't hate as much as I love.
No, this movie, I cannot stand it. You and I, we watch a lot of terrible movies together.
Yep.
You don't have to do much to convince me to watch something awful. I may never watch this movie again. Everything about it, I just detest. The idea that it's like they're really playing on the spiritual aspect of like now he's a ghost and he kind of moves.
Well,
from
do you want to just quickly give a very brief synopsis? So part 9. This is the first of the New Line
right,
movies.
New Line Cinema now has the license to use the character Jason, but they don't have the license to the Friday the 13th name.
It's so fucking stupid.
Right.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
And which again is so weird because
so weird. Why even agree to that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They
so they can't call it Friday the 13th.
That's right.
And they also can't reference certain things in the old movies too.
Right.
There were certain things they couldn't reference. I was reading a little bit about this.
But like if all you can get is Jason, then why do you within the first 10 minutes of the movie like destroy the one thing that you have? It's almost like if I didn't know better, New Line wanted to do everything they could to just remove all reference to this other franchise that they didn't own and try to reboot it and start it in their own image, which, okay, fine, but they did a terrible job. I almost felt like when I was watching this the first time that they had created and filmed and completely produced a completely different horror movie. And then right at the very end, somebody came in some production meeting and said, "Hey, we just got the rights to Jason Voorhees. Can you tag that on somehow?
Put Jason in this.
Can you just, throw his name on there somehow? We'll shoot an extra scene at the beginning." Because the rest of the movie, it doesn't even feel like it has any... You could take that first 10-minute sequence where they blow him up off of the movie, watch the rest of it,
That's
and
just
you
a
would
body
have
swap
no
horror
idea.
movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, I guess it's fine as a body swap horror movie, but it's not a Jason movie. It's not a Friday the 13th movie. I hate this movie. I hate the fact that they were able to ambush him at the beginning.
Okay, wait, let's talk about the beginning. I like the intro.
Oh, no.
I like the
man.
intro.
No,
I like the intro. You know why? Because it's realistic. If there was actually a guy that was around the camp, I don't care if he's a spirit or whatever the fuck. If there was a thing that was just murdering people all the time around this camp, at some point, some higher level officials would get involved. Like the local police, if they kept reporting like, well, we just had another 10 people massacred around this lake. Do you not think, I don't know, in this movie, it's the FBI. I don't know that the FBI would be, but at some point, some larger officials would get involved. Yes? Do you agree with this?
I don't know. I think the whole...
How is that not, like, that's realistic. At some point, they would get involved.
Well, I think what made the previous movies better is that even though the authorities show up the next morning and find all the bodies, they can never find this guy. And it's just,
no, that's not true. They find his body a few times.
Okay, sure.
They get his body a few times. He goes into the morgue twice.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the whole idea that they're able to set up this massive operation.
I like that
and
idea.
he doesn't get any of those folks. Like, how many people does it take to set up all those lights and get all the, like, there's got to be like 100 people involved in this operation, and he just has no impact. Give me a break.
I like the idea that he finally, some larger official group, let's just say like, I don't know, some higher up police force is just like, okay, we have to take this fucking thing out. So I like that idea. And I think they film it cool. He gets the fuck blown out of him. It was fun to watch because in these movies, anytime somebody attacks Jason, it's always like with a blunt object,
right,
or like they swing the machete back at him and get one of his weapons. Very rarely does anyone have a gun. Sometimes the cops will try shooting him and it doesn't really do much. The FBI has got like assault rifles and they blow him up with a fucking grenade.
Right.
How awesome is that? They all got like rifles and they're just unloading on, and it's like, finally, we got to see that happen. You hate it.
I hate every second of that. It totally takes me out of it, and it devalues everything that came before it, which is so much better than this movie. And from that point on, like there was no redeeming.
You were checked out at that
that's
point.
right.
Yes, you hate it. I like that opening.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna push back. I like that opening.
Oh,
I like that opening.
You and I.
We have other things to talk about in this movie, though. Okay, so did we already say the basic premise of this movie?
Yeah, they catch him.
So the big thing in this movie is that the first time it's revealed that they changed the canon. They completely changed the canon. Because up to this point, sometimes Jason's a man, sometimes he's a zombie, sometimes he's more of a spirit, which is kind of what 8 gets into. And then in this one, he is a demon. He is like a supernatural, he's a slug monster that takes the form of his black heart. Because I guess an alternate title for this movie apparently was going to be Jason or Friday the 13th Part 9, The Black Heart. So it's like, it's all about his heart, which is actually him. He's like a parasite demon creature. And the idea is he gets blown up at the beginning, but they were unable to destroy his heart, his demonic heart. And the heart is able to possess people. So Jason's able to now body swap.
Like, I know that with these movies, there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief, obviously, right? But I always felt like in previous movies in the series, they tried to at least make it somewhat scientific. Part 6, he gets struck by lightning and it gets his heart going again. In Part 7, it's the air bubbles that cause him to like suddenly start breathing again. Right? There's some like in-universe explanation that isn't, well, he's just a ghost/demon and now you can eat part of his heart and now you are Jason and he's back to life. Like, come on. Like, it was too much.
Okay, I'm going to give you pushback on this.
Okay.
Okay, so this is actually my favorite thing about the movie.
Uh-oh.
I love the idea that Jason is a deadite. Because this movie officially makes him a deadite. And it's not, we're not just pulling this out of our ass. And when we say deadite, we mean the Evil Dead. Like he's a demon.
They wanted to, yeah.
You clearly see the Necronomicon in the movie. And one of the longest running fan theories was that Mrs. Voorhees resurrected Jason using the Book of the Dead, using the Necronomicon. And from that point on, Jason was always a Necronomicon. Or it's a Necronomicon. He was always a deadite. He was always an undead demonic creature. I like that idea for one simple reason. Obviously, suspension of disbelief, every one of these movies, Jason's got a new look because it's a new actor.
Right.
With the exception of Kane Hodder, there's always some new guy under the mask. I love the idea that he was body swapping the entire time. And so he was always just, that's why they basically have I think it was a clever way to explain why up to this point in the franchise, he looked different in every movie.
That's quite the fan theory.
I like it because he body swapped and in every so after every movie, after he got half blown up and shot up and stabbed and his a machete in the head, he then possessed another body. And that's why he looks different. And that's a simple way of explaining it. Kind of like the idea of like James Bond is just a code name. And that's why all the actors are different in the movies because it's just a code name. So I like.
Oh.
I think that's one of the neatest ideas.
Trash.
Yeah, you hate that.
I didn't like the bounty hunter character. I thought
I like Creighton Duke. Creighton Duke is awesome.
He just chews the scenery for no reason. Like,
he's a cool character.
He's not.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm like, what are you?
I like Creighton Duke. I like the idea of somebody hunting Jason. That to me is appealing. And they tried it before. Like they tried it with that Rob guy from Part 4, who's like, Jason killed my sister and I'm out to get him. I like that idea of somebody being like, I'm not a helpless victim. I know this fucker's around this area. I'm going to fucking hunt him.
I've got some skin in the game here.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
So I like the idea of a bounty hunter going after Jason. The problem with Creighton Duke, in my opinion, is he knows things that make no sense that he would know.
Right.
So he's like, only one way to stop Jason. He must be. So he knows that Jason body swaps. Okay. Apparently, there was a unused part of the script they never used that shows a flashback scene that Creighton Duke he had an encounter with Jason, and Jason killed his girlfriend. That's why actually at the end of the movie when Creighton handcuffs himself to Jason, he's like, "Remember me, motherfucker." He says something like that, and it's like, what? They never met.
Right.
Apparently there was a scene they never filmed that it would explain this, but so it makes some sense that he knew that Jason could body swap. Okay, fine, he's seen that. But the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is like, he says like, only through a Voorhees can he be born again, or killed. Only by a Voorhees can he be killed. So only another Voorhees can kill him. But how do you know that?
Yeah.
How did
It's
you
never
know
happened,
that? Right. So like, what are you basing that
Yeah.
on? What do you think of the idea? Okay, another thing I like about this movie, it's funny, it's my number, what did I say? It's my number 10. It's not high on the list, but it's got things that aren't that bad in it. That's the thing. It's I don't think it's that bad.
Oh. I hate this movie.
Well, allow me to keep talking about things that I think are pretty good. I like, they finally introduced another Voorhees.
Why though? Who
What
cares?
do you mean why?
For what purpose?
Okay, for the
Like-
longest time, it's like, where is Jason's dad? Where is Jason's dad?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. They don't give us Jason's dad. They give us Jason's sister. Oh, he had a sister the whole time? Okay, they fumble it because they don't do anything with that, but there was a lot of potential there. Truthfully, I think the reason they went with the sister, and this is kind of like my cynical side, Halloween.
See, I was just getting.
I think they were trying to copy Halloween, where Michael's always going after his fucking sister.
See, I went the other way. I went with Nightmare on Elm Street vibes because, all the different, relatives of people involved in that. I'm like, why? Oh, why, man? Like, why do you need to have, the baby of the character that is now like that? No, get out of here with that.
I know. I like that expansion of the lore. I think they don't use. I think it gets wasted. But did you know that apparently, so Jason's dad, who we don't really know. It's one of the biggest mysteries. People have fan theories on who it is. We'll get into it later because I have a little bit of a fan theory. Did you know that Jason's dad was originally supposed to be introduced in part 6?
I did not know that.
So there was a storyboard that was never filmed, that it was supposed to be the true ending and epilogue to the film, and it was going to end with a man coming and putting flowers on Jason's grave, and then the caretaker was going to say, "Nice to see you again, Mr. Voorhees."
Okay.
And you weren't going to see his face. It was just going to be like kind of a silhouette, and that's how it was going to end. And then so the setup was supposed to be for the next film. It's like, oh, okay, so now we got Mr. Voorhees. Like, he's now in the picture.
Right.
Like, this movie doesn't do that.
No.
They go for some sister, and they don't really do much with it. Some other positives I have. Again, not trying to really do. Don't worry, I have things I hate. There's some really good gore in this movie. There's some good kills. Specifically the scene where the girl is in the tent and he stabs the pole through her and pulls it up and she gets split in half.
If you have the unrated edition, then you get to
Yes.
see the full. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I mean, everybody's going to be
Right.
anybody who'd be listening to this would have the better version. But like the nice thing about part 9, because it came right after part 8. Part 8 was still heavily censored.
Yeah.
Part 9, New Line, they didn't give a fuck.
Right.
New Line was like, nope, we're going right back to the hardcore gore, and they deliver. There's some good fucking gore kills in this. I think this one also has I believe there's a head crush in this one. So you don't remember because you probably didn't even rewatch this. But
No, and you couldn't pay me enough to watch this movie again.
there are some really good gore
Yep.
kills in this. I'm pretty sure this one has the proper head crush that they wanted to do in part 7. That, you know what I'm talking about? The infamous head crush that the MPAA cut the scene, so it literally is just nothing. It's just
Right.
a guy screaming. But it was supposed to show Jason like literally crush the man's head with his bare hands.
With like mayonnaise popping out and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
but I'm pretty sure they actually did that in this
this one.
movie. Yeah, so. Another thing I really like, the I really like the ending. I like the idea of the demons pulling Jason into hell and the ultimate fucking setup after credit scene of all time.
Yeah, it's not enough for me to.
Did you not like the scene that Freddy? Okay, so
Yeah, okay.
Jason gets dragged down to hell. I think the little puppet guys that are like, I don't know who the fuck they or sorry, not puppet. They're like these hands.
Right.
They're like these big demon hands, and they're all practical, and it looks cool. And they just pull Jason into the sand, into the earth, and it's like, oh, he actually gets pulled into hell. That's fucking cool as shit. Because he finally gets like laid to rest or whatever. And then last shot of the movie, we see Jason's mask. It's just sitting there in the sand. And out pops Freddy Krueger's glove and pulls his mask under. And Freddy laughs. Did you see this movie in the theaters?
No. So
Like
when
I was going to say, because I wanted to know, like, can you imagine? Okay, the movie fucking sucks.
Yep.
But can you imagine that fucking setup?
Yep.
Like, you would have shit your pants if you had been in the theater as, like, a genuine first-time audience viewer and you saw Freddy Krueger's fucking glove come up.
Yeah, 13-year-old me
Mic drop.
did love that scene.
Right.
Right. Unfortunately, 13-year-old me had to sit through like 89 minutes of everything that came before it, right?
Right. Oh yeah. It's it doesn't earn that.
No,
it does not earn that shot. I'm just saying I like that shot, and I think that was of all the ways to tease the eventual Freddy v. Jason movie, I think that was a great way of teasing it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was a good teaser. I like that. Okay, things I hated. I got a lot. That is my least favorite Jason design.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I would say
Garbage.
it was my least. Yeah, it's
Absolute garbage.
The mask is way too small on his face.
Well, they made his head all swollen.
yeah,
But
it
I don't
was-
know why. I still
Yep.
don't understand that choice. I get that because Jason always has like a misshapen head. He's a little deformed, but it's like a bulbous.
It's almost like it's growing out around the mask now. Yeah,
Right.
It's just.
It's
yeah.
a garbage, and he's got long little strandy hair all of a sudden.
Not that it matters all that much because we didn't get to see him for much.
For 70% of the movie,
Right,
that
right.
not in the movie.
Right.
So that design is so fucking stupid. I don't understand the logic behind it because it's okay. So this movie takes place after part 8, and don't be confused. This is a sequel because apparently there was a comic tie-in that explained how Jason got from New York back to Crystal Lake because I was reading about this. So I'm guessing at some point they explained why his head got all. I'm guessing it's from the acid that went on his face. It somehow made his face all bulbous because the mask. I can explain the mask being a little smaller. I think it's because the acid, like it's kind of burned around it because they do show at the very end of 8
Still stupid.
stretches.
Yep. Awful.
Awful. A terrible design.
Yep.
He looks so fucking stupid in this movie. Another huge problem I have is like the ending when a big plot point in this movie is that Jason needs to get he can body swap. This is stupid. He can body swap. That's great. But apparently the bodies are only temporary. They'll start decaying. It's like a temporary meat skin. Like it will decay very quickly when he's in a body. He needs to be in a Voorhees body to be in a true body that would regenerate. So Jason can regenerate except for when he's in somebody else's body. He needs to be in a Voorhees body, which is so fucking stupid. That's such an arbitrary rule to have. Because it's like, what if all his family was dead? I guess Jason's dead too then, right? That doesn't make any sense. So he gets a Voorhees body. Do you remember which Voorhees body he gets in?
I thought it was.
So there's 2 Voorheeses and technically 3. There's 3 Voorheeses in this movie.
Sister? I thought it was his sister.
It's not his sister because she's the final girl.
Yeah.
Jason goes into his. Sorry, you are correct. It's his sister. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking the sister's daughter.
Yeah.
Jason's sister is dead halfway through the movie. Jason kills her. He goes into his. What are you laughing at?
Just kills his sister. Like There's, no rules.
Yeah. He goes into his sister. Do you remember how he goes into his sister? It's a little fucked up. He's in like the tadpole form of his like demon worm form, and he's like worming around.
Right. And is that the one where he goes straight up and in?
Straight up or cooch.
Yeah.
He goes up his sister's vag
Right.
to take over her body. No comment.
Apparently the actor that performed that scene didn't know that was going to be in the movie. And when she saw it, she was like
Very upset.
in the screening, like at the premiere, she was not happy about that.
Yeah, I can understand why. Yeah, that's so he then possesses her body, and then he gets reborn because now he's in the body of a Voorhees. Do you remember what happens when he gets reborn? Do you remember what he looks like when he gets reborn? So now he goes into his sister. So it's like, oh, I'm in the body of a because the entire movie, because you're saying like, well, we don't get to see that design. So Jason's body swapping. When he's body swapping, you can only see his true image in mirrors. So most of the
but
movie,
everyone can see it in the
right,
mirror though.
But
right.
but most people, they're just people. So if he's inside Mark Skewes, you're just walking around acting weird, but you still look like yourself. You don't look like Jason. But when he finally gets in the body of as Voorhees in the body of his sister, he goes into his true form, which is. Do you remember what he turns into?
Nope.
He turns into the stupid design at the beginning. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Think about it. If the beginning is his body after decades of being blown to shit and stabbed and beat up, then when he gets reborn, shouldn't he look like he does in like part 2?
It's like Anakin Skywalker
Like, wouldn't he
doesn't
reset?
look like Darth Vader as a Force ghost. He looks like his original.
Right, exactly.
yeah.
He doesn't look like shit that happened way later.
Right.
He looks like shit that happened, like he'd be resetting.
It's a stupid movie.
Yeah, yeah. The soundtrack for this movie, it's so fucking bad. It's just so generic. It's literally just the entire soundtrack is just like dun 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 dun, and just constant.
Well, they can't all be, Manfredini, right? Like
But it's just it's a generic, boring soundtrack, and it's just constantly doing the like stakes are high, are high, things are tense. Like it never lets up. It's not an interesting. It doesn't create any kind of atmosphere, ambiance. It's just an obnoxious, annoying soundtrack. This is the first movie in the franchise. See, I'm dunking on it too. See? You're worried I was going to defend it. It's number 10. It's getting dunked. This is also the first movie where it doesn't look like a movie. It looks like a TV show.
Officer down! He's breathing. Let's check this guy at the end of the hall. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Get the ambulance.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean now. Yeah.
It is filmed so poorly. The cinematography is absolute garbage. It has no filmic look. It's all like wide, flat shots, and everything's in focus, and it just looks like a 90s Canadian television show.
There's another entry on this list that I think will reflect that as well.
There's another entry that has that exact same problem. Yeah, there's 2 entries that have that same problem that look like they're shitty 90s Canadian television shows because they were filmed here. Yeah. It just doesn't look like a movie at all. Yeah. It's just, it looks like a made for TV movie. Yeah. Is what it looks like. It just everything. There's no cinematography. There's no interesting shots, no dynamic shots. And it feels like, it's not paced like a movie. Like it doesn't feel like a film. It feels like I'm watching an episode of like Tales from the Crypt or something like that. Right. But like a shittier Tales from the Crypt.
Not even a good Tales from the Crypt.
like one of the lesser ones from like the later seasons.
The bottle episodes.
Yeah. It was just crap. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad.
I would have watched these, as a 12, 13, 14-year-old. So I didn't know at the time, the whole idea of Paramount to New Line Cinema. So I didn't understand the sort of the background of that. All I remember watching this is this does not feel like a Friday the 13th movie. Nothing about it is landing at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. Like I don't know if somebody watched this and enjoyed it, great. But it's none of what I'm expecting is here. I don't enjoy any so that's why when you talk about the kills, I'm like, yeah, I don't even care because like if I wanted to see kills, I could watch any horror movie for that.
Well, you could go back and watch like all the other Friday the 13th movies because they all have one or two good kills. Yeah.
So-
I had to give it something.
Yep. Nope.
Got to give
Rock
it something.
bottom for me.
Right.
There's no redeeming qualities
Nothing
for this
wow.
movie.
I think
for
it
me.
has some things. That's why it's number 10.
Yep.
It's number 10 on mine. It's the bottom on yours. Are you finished with?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any good things to say about it.
That's fine. Okay, moving on. We were talking about the other film that I also think looks like a Canadian television show. My number 11, which is just slightly worse than Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X.
I agree. I have it as 11 as well.
11,
Yep.
yes! I knew there was going to be a couple.
Yep.
It's bad.
Yep.
It's not good. I mean, I think the running joke of the horror franchises is like eventually they make their way to space, and that's when you know it's the franchise is
Right.
dead at that point. You know, Leprechaun made it to space. Hellraiser made it to space. I can't remember which one that is, but Jason X,
Right.
the second of the New Line Cinema films. They had such a great fucking track record
Right.
with this franchise. It's funny. It's like I wonder how much they paid for that. Like, you know what I mean? Because they must have had to pay a fuckload to Paramount, which is funny because at that point Paramount was like, "Look, we already killed this fucking property. It's dead."
We have milked this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like by 8.
Right.
I mean, it was dead at that point. But like, so I can only imagine what they rubed New Line into paying them for this. But basic plot is Jason has been basically it actually kind of follows up on 9 a little bit because it opens with Jason being in some sort of military research facility. Right. They have a higher up body of government, like I said. Eventually, they would get him. They get him, and he is now in military custody. He's chained up, and they are testing him. And they realize that he has some sort of supernatural. It's not supernatural. So they don't go with the supernatural route. He has superhuman abilities. Specifically, his regenerative abilities are incredible, and they're studying it to try to harness it from him.
It's far in the future as well, right?
Way far in the
Yep.
future, because even before it time skips, like we're talking about just the opening.
Yep.
The opening is like the year 2000 and something, 2050 or 2040, right? And Jason's being held, and through a turn of events, he gets cryogenically frozen, and then he gets waken up in the year 2040 something. I can bring this up. Hold on one sec. I've got the timeline of the movies on my phone so I can reference them because it's so important that we know the
Right.
exact year that it actually is. Let's see if I can actually find this shit. Jason X. It doesn't say. It's 445 years into the future.
Okay, far enough.
It's like 20. It's the year
Yeah.
2400 and
Right.
something. Yeah. Jason X. That's the basic plot.
Yeah. And then, of course, obviously he gets reanimated, brought back from cold storage, and then just does his thing on this spaceship.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. He gets. It's in the future now. There's 2 Earths because we've ruined Earth.
Right.
We're on our way there
Total-
now.
total
The
factual.
only thing about this movie that's accurate is that.
Is that.
So Earth 1, as it's called, is now fucked.
Right.
And it's a scavenging. It's like it's actually like a class field trip.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So it's this class field trip from these futuristic people that are human, and they're on this ship, and they come down to Earth, and they're scavenging, looking for relics of the past they can sell for money. That's the idea.
Right.
And they find 2 bodies. They find Jason and the scientist that was studying him that he killed in the past. And both their frozen corpses get brought onto the ship, and they get thawed out, and brought back to life. The woman also gets brought back to life with the 2400 super magic medicine that they have. They're able to heal her from her machete to the gut that she received at the beginning of the movie. And then Jason just basically starts wrecking on a ship.
Yep.
So Jason X is basically, if you take Jason Voorhees, part 8 put him on a ship, an actual like ship. Part 10 puts him on a spaceship. That's the plot.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah.
What did you like?
So
Start with what you like.
Right.
Did you like anything?
So this one I did see in the theater.
Oh,
Yeah. So at this point, I'm
on a date or
No.
Yeah.
No. I saw. No. If it was the last one. That's for sure. No, I mean the one thing I will say about this entry is that I think they realize, look, this is just ridiculous. You and I talk a lot about movies made in earnest, right? Did the production feel like they were making something serious? And this is one of the reasons why, again, I hate to go back to this one, but Jason Goes to Hell, they made that movie in earnest. They thought they were making a fantastic entry in this series, a great horror movie.
Yeah, and it falls on its face.
They ended up making a real dud. I think with Jason X, everyone's in on the joke. Right, they're like,
wow, they wanted to be.
Right,
it wasn't made in earnest. Or sorry, it wasn't made in earnest. They were trying to be in on the joke. Right. They're like, look, we get this is dumb, so we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah. So I will give them credit for that, because by doing that, they can just lean into it, right? They can just, I mean, obviously the whole idea of Uber Jason, come on, like they know that they're being stupid, so it's a little bit freeing that way. Okay. You're in on it. We're all going to have some dumb fun here. Let's just go with it. And whatever we get, it's not really going to matter anyway. We're just taking a flyer on this one. It's out there, right? So I appreciate that, and it allowed me to watch it through a different set of eyes. Like, okay, this is a joke for all of us, and we're going to treat it that way, right? I'm never going to think of this one as one of the serious entries. It's never going to rank at the top of my list. But for couple of hours on a Saturday night, what the hell, right? So that's kind of what I came into this with. I had zero expectations, and I got very little out of it, but I wasn't disappointed because I wasn't expecting it to give me anything.
I struggled to get through this one. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, especially because that was so I told you I was doing double features. So in order for me to like marathon these movies, I was doing like, all right, I'm going to do, this night is like part 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. And I was also, while doing that, in order to finish watching them in time throughout the day, I would also have one of them on in the background. The stars aligned for this one magical night, and the double feature was part 9 and part 10. I was ready to slit my fucking wrists. It was so bad and it was literally just like, I just watched 7 and 8, and 8 was, it was literally like a triple whammy. It was like 8, 9, and then 10. It was like, fuck me. It was just like, bam, bam, blah. It just got worse and worse and worse. And it was funny seeing like going from part 8 to part 9 and then part 10. You're like, oh, these don't look like movies anymore. Like they don't look like films. They look like shitty TV shows. And that's what Jason X looks like. And apparently it had a decent budget. Like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
It was one of the larger budgets in the franchise.
It's just all computer generated though.
But it's bad CG. Yeah. The CG, okay, so all the CG in the movie looks like shit. I don't think they use any miniatures. They're all like shitty CG miniatures. They look garbage. It's like one of the first times in the franchise they started using CG to enhance the kills. So it wasn't all like practical, like blood and shit like that. All that shit looks like garbage. There has no cinematography whatsoever. It's all just wide, flat shots, everything in focus. Film it like a TV show. Right. Everybody in one angle. Like it's just so cheap looking.
Well, and you kind of have to get. That.
Is this the other one that you were thinking of when I said
right. Yeah? It feels like it was. It's a like a CW TV show.
It feels like a fucking TV production. Right. It feels like a made-for-TV movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they had a little bit more creative space with some of the kills. I would say that is maybe like a positive. You know, you're never going to be able to plunge some girl's head into, liquid nitrogen and slam it on a metal desk, at Crystal Lake, right? There's no space for that, right? You're never going to dunk a guy on a big, huge corkscrew and like watch him
spin
right.
down. Yeah.
So like I give them some points for saying, okay, let's just do something completely different. Because at worst case scenario, we've got a different environment we can play in, and we can
get
do
some
do
creative
stuff,
kills.
right?
That's actually one of my positives
Yeah.
is the kills. There's some creative kills in this
Right.
movie. The infamous one of the best kills in the entire franchise is the liquid nitrogen
Right.
kill,
Yeah,
and it's
great.
Jason's it's one of his first kills in the movie.
Yeah.
Grabs the girl's head. Well, you know what? Let's just let the clip show it. How awesome was that?
There you go.
Yeah. It's so infamous. Mythbusters
Right.
even did an episode talking about it, where they were like, wow, he couldn't quite do it. But when they didn't take into account is like, yeah, Jason has superhuman strength.
Right.
So it would have looked exactly like how it did in the movie, in that if you froze the first part of somebody's face and then you had superhuman strength and slammed it into a thing, the face would
could.
cave in regardless. No, but your head is going to cave in regardless
Anyway.
if the front is
Yeah.
Jason multiple times squishes people's heads with just his hands. So it's like the liquid nitrogen is just for the coolness of how the face looks.
Yeah.
That looked fucking awesome. Yeah.
Then I think she dies like in the midst of it, right? Like you see her screaming, then all of a sudden she stops.
Oh, that's a
And
cool
then-
shot.
yeah.
Yeah. The only CG in the movie that looks cool is that.
that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the only good CG. And it's very cool too when he pulls her face out and it's like, there's like crystals. Like it's a good practical effect.
Right.
Yeah. There's some good kills. The corkscrew was kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Where the guy gets, he gets thrown onto this corkscrew thing, like this giant like drill bit.
What is
Why?
this
I have
thing?
no idea. Yeah, it's just there. It's there for
It's
if
there
you fall down
to kill somebody
Right?
on.
Yeah. It's
Right.
it's a pit in Mortal Kombat. You just fall onto it. Yeah. It's a fatality. It's a stage fatality. Yeah. It exists for no other reason. But the kills are pretty good. Also, sleeping bag kill comes back
Yep. Yeah. That is one
and
thing.
does it better than Part 7, in my opinion.
The virtual reality throwback I
Yep.
thought was a nice touch.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, there's unlike the first movie on your list, the first or the lowest movie on my list, there are some redeeming points to this
Yeah.
one.
There's
Yep.
some little things. Yeah.
I will say that this movie wins the award for worst sci-fi spaceship. If you remember what their spaceship looks like, it basically looks like a sperm. It's like a ball at the front with like two legs that sweep up.
I don't even remember paying
is
attention to it much. It's very generic.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a plethora of stupid space.
All the
ships that I've ever
sets
seen.
just look very generic.
Right.
Like there's not a lot of character to their ship. It's like this room has a bunch of screws coming out of the floor for no reason.
Right.
This room is a virtual reality room. This room is a lab. It's there's not a lot of character to that ship. It almost seems like they just borrowed, like it was from some other sci-fi show, and they're like, all right, we're just gonna use these. It was like Farscape or some shit. I don't know, like some like
Yeah.
C-tier other sci-fi show that was just happened to be filming at this production house. Sorry, go ahead.
One thing I did appreciate is that they reset the continuity at the end, so he gets plummeted back down to Crystal Lake, if I remember correctly. So that
No.
No?
He plummets down to Earth 2.
okay, but it wasn't it Crystal Lake that he lands in, so that maybe
I don't think. He lands in water. I don't
Okay.
know that it shows a sign that says Crystal Lake, because what are the odds that both Earth 1 and Earth 2? So remember we said so they've ruined Earth 1.
Yep.
Humanity now lives on Earth 2, another planet.
Right.
The people that come and pick up Jason, they're just like on a field trip from Earth 2. Right. Yeah, but they end up crashing into Earth 2.
So at least they leave it
the
in a
end.
position where it can go back to the way that it was in future. If anybody cared about that, I think most
I
people
don't
just
think I was
ignore
gonna say
this.
I don't think it works
No.
because what is he gonna wake up and then everybody's gonna blast him with like ray
Oh,
guns
oh,
and
no.
vaporize him?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that at least they didn't just leave him in space.
I actually would have liked that better if he just was like. I think that would have been a better kill. Is that he just and he's just for all time, just for all time, he's stuck in the vacuum of space.
I honestly, all week long, there are a few selections on this list that I was concerned that
I would
you
have
were going to
higher?
rate these a lot higher. So
Please give my taste some credit.
I figured, you were a younger gentleman. You would have been like, no, man, this one totally captured the zeitgeist.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Even when I was younger, I thought it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I didn't realize when I was younger, because it's been years since I rewatched these, and like when I say like, oh, every year I watch one or two of them, you know which one or two of them. I don't throw on Jason X or Jason Goes to Hell. So it'd been like a good decade.
Right.
I didn't realize, I just, because I was younger when I watched them, I just didn't realize how bad they looked.
Yeah.
Like, because now I've refined my eye for film and quality. They look bad. They look like cheap productions. And now I can just visually see it where I go, oh, that looks like a film. This looks like a TV show,
Right.
and not an HBO current AMC quality primo show,
Which looks like a film.
like a film.
Right.
It's like, oh, this just looks like cheap shit.
Yep.
And it's just and speaking of that, the soundtrack I just did not remember. Again, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Generic garbage soundtrack. All like basic. It almost sounds like it doesn't sound like they had a composer. It just sounds like this was all free use shit. No, I'm serious. It sounds like generic like tension music that they got from some audio pack. They paid the license fee to. That's what it sounds like.
Right.
Other complaints. The pacing of this was unbearable. So we talk about like in these movies, they introduce like every movie, they got to introduce victims to be killed. Because part of the appeal of these movies is we're gonna see some kills. You know, like we're sick fucks, we're horror hounds, we want to see the gore, right? And very often these people get little to no character development. This was one of the worst examples of that, in that it's literally just the movie is like has at no point takes any time to develop anyone. It's just like there's no moments of levity and like calm. It's just as soon as Jason gets on that ship and wakes up, he rampages till the end credits.
Right.
It's like every 10 seconds, Jason is killing somebody or chasing somebody, or they're like, God, how do we get out of this? How do we get out? It's like I had a headache by the end of this. I was just like, oh, for fuck's sakes, get to the credits. Because it was just like, oh my God, oh, he broke through this wall. I'm going to lock this door. Oh my God, okay, we got to shoot him. Okay, oh, are we going to get him this way? How are we going to make plans? It just right to the end.
I feel like they gave the most character development to the cyborg.
Yes.
And who would have no character whatsoever.
Right. They sprint to the credits in this movie.
Right.
They just like some other things we should actually talk about. Because I was reading a little bit about this. Apparently, the filmmakers tried to make this Alien. Like it's supposed to be like Alien, and the idea is, yeah, I know, right? But the idea is Jason is Alien. He's the alien, like he's the substitute for the xenomorph, and it's supposed to be a xenomorph running around the ship taking them out, and it's supposed to be Jason is like instead. But you can't say shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that's bold. You know, we were inspired by one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made. It's like, okay.
It doesn't have a whole lot of credit left to lose, and it's losing it as we speak. So
right, but that was apparently one of their biggest influences. There's other influences. Oh, so because that's why he gets blown out the airlock, because he gets blown out at the end. He does end up in space, but yeah, that's one of the inspirations for that. Another character gets blown out an airlock. There's other things I'm forgetting, but there was specific things that was like, oh, this was an homage to this. This was an homage to this. Yeah. Oh, apparently his metal mask. Okay, so we should say in the movie, I don't know. I keep saying, stop me from doing this. I keep going, we should explain this. You already know all this.
You've
shit.
seen this movie.
Yeah, you've seen this movie. So I really shouldn't do that.
We don't need to do that.
But I keep doing it thinking like for a general audience, you know, for like our parents that are going to be listening to this. So he At one point, Jason gets his ass kicked by an android. There's an android in the movie. I like that's a reference to Alien as well. The android. Yeah. I like the android character. She's probably the only good character in the whole movie.
She was the only one that got any kind of character development, right?
But I like the idea of Jason fighting an android. I think that's kind of a cool idea.
Right.
It's kind of like those stupid, like, fan service comics like RoboCop versus Terminator, Batman versus Predator.
I mean, you've already thrown out, any kind of the movie has
sense
no
of
credibility
reality.
at this point anyway. So yeah, sure.
It's just fanfic.
Right.
It's just nonsense. So I like the idea of Jason fighting a robot. That to me is fun. And they get close to making it good, but unfortunately it sucks. The editing is really stupid. They do like fast forward effects when she's like cartwheeling, and it's got really shitty like like the shitty like sound, the punch sound effects from the 90s, like those sound effect packs that everything would be like
just like way too over the top.
Yeah.
Well, The Matrix was popular at that time as well, so of course.
Well, and and at one point they give her like a black leather fucking stupid look, and she's got like two guns, and it's like clearly supposed to be like Trinity from The Matrix, and I'm like, what is this shit? That's what I mean. Like, I just like Jason versus a robot could have been cool. But it's not cool in this movie because but it's not cool. They fuck it up. Yeah. Anything else you want to dunk on?
No.
Oh wait, okay. No. Uber Jason.
I mean, at this point in the movie.
Okay, so after the android fight, Jason gets blown to bits and nanobots rebuild him.
Right.
They introduced this earlier in the movie. And I appreciate that they actually did introduce something which later then comes into play. But they rebuild him as like part metal? It doesn't make any sense. Why would the robot, the nanobots are supposed to just rebuild like tissue. They're going to repair it, replace what's there. But instead they upgrade him? Why?
I mean, it
doesn't make any sense.
I'm not as critical of that part because at this point I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sure.
Yeah, but okay, fine, whatever.
Like,
so they rebuild Jason as like a half metal. Some people say Super Jason, some people say Uber Jason, which Uber Jason I think became the like fan
accepted.
Yeah, but they never say it in the movie. They're just, the android's just like, it looks like he got an upgrade or something like that. There's some throwaway line. Fuck that design.
It is, again, one of the worst.
My second least favorite, right after fucking Jason Goes to Hell, that design. Fuck Uber Jason. Right. It's stupid. His metal mask looks like shit. Apparently it was supposed to be inspired by the Predator. It's supposed to, like, that mask is supposed to, it's like, oh, we were inspired by the Predator's mask. Like, get the fuck out of here. Right. Like, it looks like shit. They've got like his head is like membrane-y behind it. His eyeballs are like red for some reason. They're like, oh, now he's it's just looks like shitty, like some angry teenager drew this in a scrapbook somewhere while writing lyrics to a metal song.
Right, but by then, I mean, it's just jokes, right? So it's just like, of course he's got a metal head. Like,
right, but I mean, like, you could have made it a cool design. That's the thing. It's like, that fucking Jason beside you right there, that part 7. It's like, all right, he's a zombie now. Yeah, but that's a fucking cool look. They did a good job with that. Right. By the way, I just realized, like, we have props around us. Yep. When I was talking about how they change his outfit, I should have just referenced.
Just looked at it.
Yeah, I know, because you can see how his rib cage is exposed, and none of that is in part 8. He magically has a shirt or a jacket that fully, and his pants aren't torn in 8. So they didn't have to do any of the extra makeup in 8. They just redid that. That's the 7 design. The zombie
Does that mask come off? I'm not going to take it off, but
it does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it does.
That's a great figure.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's from the fine folks at NECA. Yeah. The fine fuckheads. Are we done? Can we move on from Jason X?
Yep.
Okay. That's way more than we talked more about Jason X than anyone else in the history of time.
I have that one as 11. You have Jason X as
11.
That's right.
We matched on that one. Yeah. So I had, all right. So moving on.